After the close of World War II, 22-year-old Elizabeth Short went to Los Angeles with stars in her eyes. Since childhood, she had dreamed of becoming a glamorous movie star, and she achieved her goal of fame, but in a sad and horrible way. In January 1947, Elizabeth was brutally murdered, her badly mutilated body left on display for all to see. Her killers have never been found, and her story is one of the most mysterious crimes of the 20th century. Why did this happen to her, and who could possibly have done it? In this series, I take a look at the forensic astrology of the case. The mutilated body of Elizabeth Short was found at 10 a.m. on January 15, 1947, in a vacant lot in Leimert Park, a subdivision of Los Angeles. It was the day of Mercury and the hour of Jupiter, which is interesting. Ruler of the day Mercury signifies a young person, while ruler of the hour Jupiter could indicate a well-off, older perpetrator, and probably more than one. This is further reflected in the crime chart. With Pisces rising, Jupiter represents Beth as the victim, while Mercury on the seventh house cusp shows the killers. There is nothing beneficent about Jupiter here, and its placement delivers an eerie message. Jupiter is in the 22nd degree of Scorpio, a difficult degree of kill or be killed in forensic astrology. Furthermore, Jupiter rules dahlias, Scorpio rules the color black, and it lies in the eighth house of death and murder, the death of the black dahlia. You couldn't expect stronger confirmation that the crime chart is radical as well as informative. Scorpio is also the sign of surgery, which is perhaps too kind a word here. Her body had been mutilated and slashed, with her torso completely severed at the waist. She was posed supine, with her legs outstretched and a garish look, owing to two deep cuts on her cheeks that formed a grotesque smile. Other indignities were done to her body as well. Scorpio rules the reproductive organs, and those had been ravaged. The killer had removed a rose tattoo from one thigh and shoved it into her vagina. Her abdomen had also been sliced from the navel to the pubis. The evil, malicious side of Scorpio was imprinted all over this horrendous crime. In fact, the crime chart is dominated by malefics. The eighth house moon and Jupiter are ruled by Mars, which is dignified by being at 22 degrees of Capricorn. 22 degrees is a difficult degree, as we've already noted. It's the degree of kill or be killed. Saturn, in its detriment in Leo, rules the Capricorn grouping of Mercury, Mars, and Sun. In addition, Saturn is joined by Pluto in the fifth house, which amplifies its evil effect many times over. Uranus opposes the black moon Lilith. The indicator of shock opposes the indicator of evil. And nothing was more unpredictable or shocking than the murdered body of a pretty young woman who had been sadistically murdered and callously put on display for the public to see. Another eerie point about Black Moon Lilith is that it occupies the same degree and sign, 19 Sagittarius, as the south node or Ketu in her solar return chart, and it forms a stress aspect to Uranus in both of these charts. This murder was not only a sadistic outrage, but a complete departure from any semblance of sanity. Worse yet, it was probably meant to be just that. What clues does the chart give in relation to the killers? I include the plural here because the seventh house ruler of the perpetrator, Mercury, has company in the 10th and 11th houses in the Capricorn grouping. This suggests three people present at the crime scene, as well as the mutable sign Virgo on the seventh house of the killer. Mutable signs on the ascendant-descendant axis often suggest multiple victims and or perpetrators. The killer's Mercury is in sextile to Beth's Jupiter, showing some foreknowledge between the two, and Mercury is in the Libra degree of Capricorn. Beth had a dating relationship with Leslie Dwayne Dillon, which had frustrated his associate Mark Hansen, who wanted the same with her. The Capricorn grouping also indicates that the killers were businessmen and friends of Elizabeth. In her mind, they may have presented some opportunity for advancement in the entertainment business until something went seriously wrong. The chart offers clues to motive as well. Mars dominates Chiron, the moon, and Jupiter, which is Beth's ruler, while Saturn dominates Mercury, Mars, and the Sun, ruling the killers. The chart is dripping with clues of sinister intents and actions. The moon, at unfortunate 13 degrees of Scorpio, is in the eighth house, in its fall in Scorpio, and in square to the Saturn Pluto combination in Leo. This was a vicious crime of anger, revenge, bitter hatred, and total degradation, and the sheer horror effect of the overkill was intentional. Records show that after the killing, Leslie Dillon was examined by a doctor who noted that his genitalia was extremely small, like that of a young boy. Perhaps Elizabeth joked about this or spread the word among her roommates. No one ever knew what set him off, but whatever it was just infuriated his disturbed psyche. With Hansen, whom Beth had rejected, as his companion, the two both had motive to exact ruthless vengeance on their victim. Looking again at the seventh house, the vertex point is there at 27 degrees Virgo. So, what was the point of all this madness? 27 Virgo is in the term of violent Mars. Virgo relates to maidens, service workers, employees, and on a worse note, those not in control of their fate. Beth was held captive at the Astor Motel for a day or so preceding her death, and was seen by a few witnesses in a state of disorientation, as if drugged. Another clue is Neptune in the seventh, again suggesting the use of drugs, deception, trickery. Or how else could she have been lured to her final destination? There's also a strong possibility that her final hours were recorded for purposes of creating a snuff film, which could bring in vast sums of money through underground channels. Neptune deals with illusion, like that created by motion pictures. The fact that Beth wanted to be in movies and Hansen had connections to the movie business fits in perfectly with this notion. I believe the third party in the killer stellium was holding a camera for this unspeakable purpose. This Neptune is at 10 Libra, the same degree as the nodes, with North Node in 10 Gemini. Nodal degrees are considered degrees of fate. In this case, the camera work suggested by Neptune was not happenstance. It was intentional and fit right into the landscape of the crime. The emphasis on the fifth, eighth, and 11th houses allows us a glimpse into the nature of this grisly crime. A hotel, friendship, associates, a love affair, jealousy, resentment, violence, and a cruel death. With Malefic's Mars and Saturn running the show, there was rage, violence, cruelty, and perverse sexuality in abundance. I have also noted many times that a preponderance of Capricorn in crime charts may typify evil, frustrated ambition, and the desperation that accompanies it. This horrendous crime certainly qualifies as a desperate rite. It's no wonder that the number 15 major arcana of the tarot, the devil, represents Capricorn. But before any Capricorn listeners turn this off, please be aware that forensic astrology is judged very differently than the natal. The Arabic part of destruction is rising on the ascendant, which joins the violent fixed star Markab, connoting a violent death. And the fixed stars add more sour flavor to the narrative of the crime chart, much as they did in Beth's natal horoscope. The malefic fixed star Praesepe, already noted, rears its ugly head here in exact conjunction to Saturn. which also happened to be crossing Beth's sun to the exact degree on January 15th. So, if you're interested in learning more about the techniques I use in forensic astrology, I'll just take a moment for a shameless plug. I have written several books on the topic. My first one was Forensics by the Stars. My second one was Exploring Forensic Astrology. And my most recent is Asteroids, Our Cosmic Influencers. So I'm putting a link in the description below where you can find all my written works. And if you have any questions, comments, criticisms, what have you, feel free to drop them in the comments below. And so I'll look forward to hearing from you. I'm BD Salerno, also known as Star Sleuth. Thanks for watching.